This is so difficult, Chris. How do you do this for a living, man? This is nuts. If I had hair, I'd pull it. Let's. Oh, no!
How does he do it? So I've taught Vanguard to a lot of different people across the years, but today I have a special, particular guest famous for having his voice in a particular game of fighting and streets. I have the one and only Mr. Vicious here with me today. What's up, dude?
Dude, I think Vicious is just fine. Mr. Vicious is my father, and you put it so eloquently, man. I was kind of like cheesing as you were doing the intro, but I'm doing great, man. It's cool to finally link up, and it's cool to actually be in your realm this time around.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you know, just for the viewers that might not know who you are, can you give a brief introduction? I think your background kind of gives you half the introduction already.
A little bit, yeah. My name is Jeremy Lopez. I go by the name Vicious. I'm part of the fighting game community and in the game Street Fighter 6, as DifferentFight had mentioned. I have a very, very heavy background in a lot of fighting games, but mostly my life pretty much revolves around Street Fighter. However, one of the biggest fun facts that people do not know about me is that I am a giant card game fiend. I've played like a multitude of different card games, and I also collect like crazy. I wish I could show you the camera of my entire bookshelf of all the cards, sealed, open, slabbed up, everything, to my heart's desire, obviously. But yeah, I'm just a big card game nerd.
Yeah, so probably to a lot of people's surprise as well. I think a lot of people just know you, you know, in Street Fighter, you know, watching, you know, the Capcom Pro Tour, or like for me, whenever I play Street Fighter 6, I actually still have you on as like the in-game commentator all the time. So it's like I hear you when I'm playing, I hear you now. It's like it rose just in my ear at all times. Oh, sorry, I have Vicious casting on all the time. I forgot that I'm streaming. Sorry, I have Vicious's voice on when I'm playing Street Fighter all the time. Like, at all time.
Yeah, it's totally different too, because being a commentator in the Capcom Pro Tour, as well as Street Fighter League US, as well as the English broadcast for Street Fighter League Japan, not a lot of people kind of like hear the differences or kind of like expect the differences. But on top of that, yeah, I think it's just it's a really, really cool feature, in my opinion, to see like how that kind of works out for a lot of people that are just like new to the game.
Right. And what would you say is what got you into card games, right? Because, you know, today I'll talk about how we got here in a little bit, but yeah, you know, you've been playing a few card games. Like you play One Piece right now, you play Pokemon in the past. Like what was it that got you into it?
Oh, it was easily my parents. My parents have been like the biggest influence in regards to like video gaming, card games as well. I still remember the Christmas of like the year Pokemon came out, the Pokemon trading card game. Both of my parents had bought my brother and I a booster box, and best believe we got the Shadowless First Ed Charizard. No idea what happened to them now. But since then, they've been taking us to like Pokemon leagues, and that kind of evolved into like Yu-Gi-Oh with some of my buddies. I was a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player in Southern California for a few years, had been taught Magic the Gathering as well. Kind of took a break until something kind of like revived my love for card games. I started playing Pokemon a lot more competitively. I just got into like the One Piece card game. And then meeting up with you, I'd been watching you kind of cover Cardfight Vanguard for a while now. So I was thinking to myself, like, you know, what's one more card game, right?
Yeah, that's how it always goes, right? He's just like, might as well just learn another one. But me and Vicious actually, we met through Shadowverse. So he used to host for the Shadowverse Open, which is like the esports circuit for the digital version of Shadowverse. But while Vicious was here for Evo Japan, I was like, well, next week we got the Bushiroad Card Game Fest. If you want to just like come and see what it looks like, feel free to come on down. And then that kind of turned into me going, hey, I like DM'd Bushiroad. I was like, Vicious is interested in Vanguard. Can you guys send us like starter product? And so they did. They got us starter decks and a bunch of boxes. So what we're going to do today across several videos is I'm going to first show off these new stand-up trial decks and getting into the game and just, you know, teaching Vicious how the game actually works. So we have a few. I've got the Keter one on my side, and then for Vicious, he's got the Darkseid and Stoicheia one. So I'll have you pick one of them, and then maybe for a different one, a different fight video, we'll use the other one maybe. But okay, with that, I think it's gonna be pretty exciting. We're gonna try that out, and then Bushiroad also sent us a bunch of boxes to open up as well. So we're gonna see and take a look at Vicious's pulls and see what we can do to upgrade his starter deck set as well. And then using that, we're gonna rematch once again and run it back with the updated decks as well. So I think without any further ado, let's get into it.
Cool, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, so what we have here is the startup trial deck. So these came out quite recently in English, and these are kind of perfect for this exact purpose, which is like to teach someone how to play the game. So they have one for each of Vanguard's 6 nations. So you can kind of think of them as like colors and other card games where it's like you have something that represents each different one. And in Vanguard, you have nations, which kind of represent different aesthetics and things like that. So you have one that's like basically old dragons. You have one that's like knights and magic. You have one that's like more nature themed. You have one that's more like, you know, dark souls, kind of, you know, ghouls and demons themed, which is what Vicious has over there. And on my side, I'm going to use the one that is knights. There is one that is also robots, which I'm kind of surprised Bushiroad didn't send me that one because they know that that's my main, but it is what it is. So when you open it up, this is just for the people that are still debating to pick one of these up or not. Basically what you get is a whole deck and a deck box as well, which is pretty nice. And then when you open it up, you get yourself a constructed deck, which contains the Vanguard. It has a 50 card main deck together with 4 additional cards that are used to progress the game. So I'll talk about that a little bit when we get into it. And then you also get a pretty nice pack of sleeves. You know, like the sleeves are actually foil too, so you can immediately use them with the deck itself. And then you also get a little paper playmat, which Vicious is going to use as we go through everything here as well. So just to kind of explain how to read cards, I always prefer to teach by doing. So rather than go through like, you know, explain every single little mechanic step by step, I think it's much more interesting and a lot more memorable to just learn the game as you go. But before that, I'll just explain how to kind of like read the average card. So I think Vicious as well, if you want, you can take some of the cards that you have as well, and I'll just kind of explain how to read it. So you can take a look at the big grade 3 guy that you have at the front of your deck as well. What you'll see in a card is that at the very top left is the number. So you have the 3, right? So that is the card's grade. And in Vanguard, we start from grade 0, and every turn we go up by 1 until 3. And some decks can go beyond that too. But on average, like generally speaking in a game, it's up to 3. And that's kind of like the unique thing about Vanguard is that there's no mana system. You don't have Dawn or anything. You just automatically go up every single turn. So you're actively getting stronger, and that is called riding. So every single turn you ride on your Vanguard circle, and then what your Vanguard's grade is will determine what other cards you can play. So you can only play cards that are equal to or lower than that. And so if you notice, like, you know, just kind of looking through your cards, you'll notice that all of them have a number on the bottom left, and that is their power. And so if you take a look at, for example, like the grade 3s and the grade 1s, you'll notice that the power goes up, right? It's incremental as the grades increase.
Pretty significant, yeah.
Yeah, so they get stronger as the game goes on as well. Above that, you also have a bunch of other little like symbols and everything like that on the cards, but I think it's better if I explain that once we get into the game. So in a Vanguard deck, you have, as I mentioned before, a 50 card main deck, and then you have a few additional cards as well. And when you open up the starter deck for the first time, what you'll have is the majority of the deck all in there together. But then what you also have is at the very back of it, this energy generator card and the energy counter. So this is something that is actually a brand new addition to the game that was just added now. But I mean, for anyone getting into the game starting now, it's like, you know, this is the de facto. And this is something that is basically a just additional resource that you gain throughout the game that you use to pay for costs and things like that. So, you know, much like how in, you know, other games you'd use mana for costs, or like Dawn for costs, or like energy for costs. There's just an additional kind of like way to pay for resources, but I'll explain that once we get into it. But there's just something you want to have on the side. You can put it to your top left, and then we'll kind of like track it as we go. And you can put like a little, if you have like a small like little tracker thing. I think the starter deck also comes with some small like little counter you can put. Should be just next to the starter deck guide. Yeah, so it looks like this. You can just like cut out one of like the little thing at the top, and it even says like keep track of energy with this. So you can use that. But then there's also like some people use little acrylic counters like this. Some people even use like little, you know, you get those like little gashapon like figures and stuff. So you can put like a little Ryu or something that like is like, you know, like a snakes and ladders kind of figure. So you can basically use whatever you want. There are some specifications, like it can't be too huge that you can't tell like what number it's on. And they also have actual energy cards as well. So it's like once we open the packs, you'll notice, but they look something like this, where it's like basically like Dawn in One Piece, where you can just kind of like put cards down instead of having to use something that tracks it. So you'll see that once we start opening packs. But so for now, I guess we can just put them on 0 before we get into the game. And apart from that, what you have is, you have your 50 card main deck. And then I think at the back of the starter deck, you always have these 2 face down cards that you probably also had as well. And these are actually 2 random cards that help you to upgrade stuff. So yeah, you probably got those as well. So these are basically just like, I guess like buffed versions of cards from the starter deck, and you get like random ones at that. So for someone that's just learning, it's not necessarily too important. For the sake of this tutorial video, we're gonna play without them, so you can just kind of like take them out, because they're supposed to be like replaceables for what's in the starter deck. So I think we're gonna just go through and play with what we have in here. So before we get started, you have to essentially designate what is your in Vanguard call your ride deck. So these are the cards they're going to be using to go up in grade every single turn. So you're most likely going to see within the cards in your starter deck cards that have numbers written on the corner. So in this case, it should be the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. So yeah, exactly. So what you want to do is you want to take those 4 cards and put them to you can kind of put them wherever you want, but a lot of people typically put them to the right of their deck, and you want to put them face down.
It'll be a little off camera, but just trust that it's there and I'm not cheating. Okay?
Yeah. So that shouldn't be an issue. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to just basically shuffle up our decks. And I think it'll be a lot more interesting to learn the game if I just explain it as we go. Because it's like, I think a lot of people like to just kind of like information load people, but it's kind of like, if I was getting into Street Fighter and you like, before we even play a game, you're like, okay, here's Drive Rush, okay, here's how you DP, and here's how you do this. It's like, I've never touched a fighting game. Please leave me alone.
I would never would I ever let you down like that. That is for sure.
So I think it's much more fun if we just kind of like get into it and learn as we go.
So with that in mind too, I did notice as I was kind of like messing around with the trial deck, there were like numbers here, kind of like on the bottom right. I assume that's like to kind of like order it out, like in terms of like how certain things are played, or at least like it's supposed to be kind of like structured in a way. But I mean, I'm totally down to kind of keep it like super ambiguous and just learn straight up. I'm down to shuffle it because I'm gonna do it right now.
Yeah, I think let's just shuffle it up. So those numbers are actually, they made a tutorial video for learning the game with these starter decks in mind. So it's like you watch that video and it's like you've got like the anime characters explaining to you, it's like, okay, now pull up the card that has the 1 on it. This is gonna be used for this kind of thing. So it's like, it's specifically there for tutorial purposes. So I think when you have someone teaching you, it doesn't really matter too much. So we'll just rock with it.
I'm glad. I'm so glad that you're allowing me to shuffle because that's one of my favorite things to do.
Nice.
That feels great.
So I think for the first game, we'll play with like semi-open hands. That way it's a bit easier to like walk through what is what. Sure. And it's pretty nice that these days, like the playmat you get with the starter decks actually like has so much information on it. It's like it tells you what all the little keywords and the icons are. So it's pretty nice that they go through that effort.
And that's totally needed for someone like me, because like despite being in like a multitude of card games and like playing different fighting games as well, I'm a very slow learner. I'm like hands-on and I'm a slow learner. So it's like having this reminder and having somebody like present in front of me, like showing me like what's in my hand and like what to do, like what sequences is possible. That overall is like, it makes it such a better experience too.
Right. All right. So once we're shuffled up, what we're gonna do is first you want to draw 5 cards from the top. So the starting hand in Vanguard is 5.
Cool. Very
All right, and then before we take a look at our hands, we normally decide who goes first, but I think for the sake of teaching, I'll just go first so I can kind of like walk you through the, what goes into a turn and stuff like that. Sure. So then after you decide who goes first, you can actually already do a mulligan. And what's interesting about Vanguard's mulligan is that it's completely selective, and so you can choose how many cards you want to put back and how many cards you want to keep.
No shot, really?
Yeah. So what happens?
That's kind of sick, actually.
Yeah, it's very nice because you basically get to choose how many you want to put back. Those cards go to the bottom, you redraw that many, and then you shuffle. So it also makes sure you do not draw the same cards you put back.
That's really cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite mulligans in card games. So,
I think that's one of the more unique mulligans that I've like witnessed. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So generally speaking, especially for learning, the only cards you really want to put back in your mulligan is, if you take a look at your cards, you'll notice that at the bottom, some of them have a black border at the bottom and some of them have a yellow border at the bottom.
Yes.
So take a look at your cards. Yeah, you have one with a yellow border, right? Those cards with yellow borders are called triggers, and those have special effects when they're revealed mid-game. So they're going to be, we're going to be using them mid-battle. So those are cards you don't necessarily want to have in your hand at the beginning. Those are cards you want to see throughout the course of a game. So just for the sake of learning, let's put back the cards with the triggers on them. So you'll notice they also have like a little icon on the top right to signify that they have a trigger. So
yeah,
let's just put back those. So I have 2 in my hand as well. So I'm going to put back 2 to the bottom and then redraw 2.
I do have a question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If I got too many like level 3s, do you think it'd be like fine to just keep them in there, or do you think I should just like put 1 back and like kind of?
You can also,
I know
if you
I'm
want to,
kind of going ahead, but
if you want to try to like draw into some earlier pieces you can use to like aggress early, you can also do that as well. I think for the sake of learning, it's whichever is fine. So you can choose whichever you want. I would say maybe from your hand that I saw. So if you look at your level 3s, you have one that has an effect and the other one that doesn't. So I'd say maybe put back the one that doesn't have the effect.
Makes
and then
sense.
keep the ones with the effects.
Cool.
All
All right, so I'll put it at the bottom.
Yep, and then you redraw that mini. So we're going to redraw, and then after that you shuffle, so that way the cards that you put back are, you know, they can pop up still at some point, so that way it's like you're not putting back precious cards that you'll never see again.
Yeah, that also feels really bad when you're like forced to kind of do that. So
Yeah,
I really
right.
enjoy the fact that we get to like reshuffle. It's very nice, and I think this is great. Now I get a way to kind of like, I was definitely watching the anime before we started.
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself like I have a maybe like a sequence to kind of like progress, like if
Yeah,
I have to learn,
yeah.
like,
It's really good.
my ride deck, right? But
Exactly.
maybe I'm getting it a little bit too ahead. We'll see.
No, it's good. So for context, I told Vicious was like, is there anything I can do to like prepare for this before? And I was like, the anime teaches you the game if you want to check it out. And he was like, word. That was a good little advanced preparation you did. So, all right, as we get started for a game, before we do get started, you want to take the grade 0 from your ride deck. So there should be the one with the little the 0 at the top left. And normally you put that face down before a game starts on your main Vanguard circle. And then when a game begins, basically it's like you'll have, you know, like every card game has its like big catchphrase that they say at like the beginning of a big regionals. So it's like, I think what is in Japan for Pokemon, they always do like Battle Stato and like the whole like venue screams it. So in Vanguard, that phrase is stand up Vanguard. So it's like, it's a bit,
That's pretty hard.
it's like in Japanese it sounds less cringe. But
I've heard it in the anime.
Yeah.
I low key would say it in my head. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be hype. I
Good,
was
good.
actually hoping you would just kind of talk about that too. Very interesting.
So with that in mind, let's just get started. So stand up Vanguard.
Stand up Vanguard.
So when any player, whether going first or second, you get to draw on your first turn. So every turn starts with drawing, and also much like in games like One Piece, when you attack, you tap your card. So you also refresh your cards like that too. So every single turn, as I said before, you can go up by 1 grade, which is called riding. In order to do that, you have to discard 1 card from your hand. So in my case, for example, I have a bunch of 1s, a 2, and like a 3, but I can't use the 3 until much later. So I'm going to discard my 3 here in order to choose the grade 1 that is face down in my ride deck and put that on top of the Vanguard, and that is called riding. So now that I've done that, and you have to do that at the beginning of every turn after you draw for a turn, I can now summon allies that are the same grade or lower than my Vanguard. So that means that I can choose grade 1s and just call them out and just go all in, right? And in Vanguard, you can declare attacks by just resting a unit, and then you'll be able to attack the enemy units as well. However, the player going first cannot attack. So normally the turn progression goes, I stand my units, I draw a card, I can ditch to ride, and then after that, I have my main phase to like play my cards and do my effects, and then I go to battle, and then after the battle, the turn just naturally ends. And also from riding, I also get this, the energy stuff, but the player going first doesn't actually gain any energy, because at the start of every single ride phase, after you get this, you get to get 3. So basically, it's much like how in like One Piece you get 2 Dawn a turn. In Vanguard, you get 3 of these energy every single turn. So the player going second will gain some. So in that sense, my turn, as I can't attack this turn, my turn basically just ends. So then it goes over to you.
Okay, so starting my turn, I do my draw. And look at that, I get a third of, what is this? Cruel Beast, Demonic Lord. Oh boy, one of my favorite parts, reading. What's the largest?
Also largest.
Also largest. Name. I said largest just to be like, I don't think it's largest, is it? But it makes sense. So I am going to kind of like, just based off of what you did, kind of like mimic the way that you set yourself up with the ride deck as well. So I'm going to go ahead and advance just to get my 1-cost units out as well. Was it Keen Prodigy use 1? That's pretty high, actually. Yeah, I don't feel like there's any problem with going in. Actually, I should probably increase my energy counter now that I've...
So after you ride, you get to 3 energy. So
very cool.
You're going to be able to use that later.
Okay. Cool.
Sweet.
And with that in mind, if you're going first, you can't swing, but since
you
I'm
went second, that means you are allowed to swing. So this is where things get interesting, because in Vanguard, the units that are in the front can attack, and the units in the back cannot. But they can actually lend their power to the ones in front. So for example, if you put like an 8,000, like for example, if I had my field like this, then I would be able to boost the one in front. So then it would be 8,000 plus 8,000, that'd be a 16,000 attack. So it's kind of like, I guess you can think about it like the Dawn in One Piece, except they're just, you do it with units.
Now, is there any drawback to not having 2 units in the front row, right? Like maybe I wanted to swing, kind of be aggressive, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to have a front and back row unit just to like increase the power level.
So or maybe there is actually advantage to that as well. So this way you're decreasing the number of attacks you do, but as a result, you make those attacks get bigger, and you'll notice once we get into the battle mechanics that One Piece actually took a lot of inspiration from Vanguard, and the battle mechanics are very similar in terms of how you protect yourself and engage with your opponent. So whichever one you choose to do, I think for right now there's no right or wrong answer. So you can choose to do it as you wish, whether you want to go aggro with 3. The only thing to keep in mind is that after you call a unit, you can move them to the back and front. So you can move them, you know, just up and down, but you cannot move it left to right. So that's the only restriction.
Okay. So for now, let's keep it basic. Let's keep it at 3, or at least 3 available units to swing. I feel like the scariest part is when I actually attack because of like the possible triggers. I've seen so many comebacks happen already in the show, and I'm like, dude, who's gonna flip what?
He knows.
So I'm scared. I'm actually scared. Like, even though if I have 3, like considering your hand size, I probably should swing anyway.
Yep, I assume if you are able to attack, you always want to attack. That's usually how it is with Vanguard.
Okay, so let's go ahead and swing with the Keen Prodigy.
Yep. So when a rearguard attacks, you basically you choose which target you want to attack into, and you can choose whichever one you want in the front row. So if you attack a rearguard and I don't block that, it just like in One Piece, basically like the characters, it just goes to the drop zone, so it just dies. But if you attack into my Vanguard and I choose to take it, then I take a damage. And it's kind of the opposite. So for example, in One Piece, you have your life set and then you take from it. In Vanguard, the damage or the life is empty, and we amass damage throughout the game. And once it hits 6, you lose.
I see, yeah.
So now, when you declare your attack, you can also choose a target. So where do you want to attack into?
So I'm going to choose one of your rear guards, actually.
All right.
Either one of them, really, because they are the same. So
she's the same one. All right.
We'll go to the left. We'll go to the one on your left.
Okay, this
just
one.
For the sake of swinging, yeah.
All right, so it's 8,000 on 8,000, and so when the powers are the same in Vanguard, the attack goes through. So here I can choose to protect myself, or I can choose to take it. So just to show off how guarding works, I will protect it. So when you defend in Vanguard, a lot of cards have numbers, you know, they have the power, but then also on the side, they have the shield. So when you want to protect, you have to put the card to the middle circle here, the Guardian circle, and that one allows you to signify that you're protecting with it. So again, it's you've already experienced this in One Piece.
I definitely have. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Right here.
So
yeah.
In this case, I'm basically adding the 8,000 of her power because you're attacking with an 8,000, and I'm adding the 5,000 of the shield, and so therefore now I'm 13,000 against your 8, and so that means the attack will not go through, and that means that I'm sacrificing this blocker to defend her.
Dang it. Okay. So not too bad, but also not the greatest, right? I didn't get to achieve what I wanted to, but I do get cards out of your hand, which is always going to be like a pretty solid thing, I think.
He knows. He's already better at the game than most people.
I'm just thinking about like hand resources. I do have like a little bit of experience in competitive play, right? So here's what's also scary. I feel like I have no negative side effects. I feel like to swinging with another rear guard, so I feel like I should, but I kind of want to direct that towards your Vanguard.
Okay, so in this case, again, it's the same with every single attack. I can choose to take it or leave it. So for this one, just to show you how damage works, I'll choose to take it. So when I don't guard a Vanguard attack, I have to take the top card of my deck and I check for a trigger. And triggers are basically cards that have the little symbol in the top right. And then if it has an effect, I can activate that bonus effect. And they have a lot of different ones. But on top of that, they also all give an additional 10,000 power whenever they are checked.
Oh, hold on. Actually, for the sake of learning, maybe I should swing with the Vanguard to your Vanguard. Would that be better?
Yeah, can do that too. Whichever one is fine.
Let's do that. Let's see what happens, because I also wanted to know specifically what happens if I were to swing with my Vanguard to your Vanguard.
All right. So in that case, I'm going to still take this one to show how this works out. So uniquely, just for the Vanguard's attack, when you attack with the Vanguard, first your opponent gets to declare if they want to block or not. So I'm going to say I'm going to no guard. But then you, the attacking player, can reveal the top card of your deck and check for a trigger. And after that, the card goes to your hand. So you always gain advantage from attacking with your Vanguard. Cool.
Dude, more hand resources? I'm about it. So this is my drive check, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So when I swing, declare my attack, my drive check. Let's
go.
All
right. So you actually check the trigger. So what you got there is the pink one is the front trigger. So what that does is it gives an additional plus 10,000 power to all of your front row units.
That's crazy.
Now everyone is 18k.
Dang! The leaping gear links, I'm about it, son. That's cool.
Yep. And you'll notice that also triggers have a lot more shield than regular units as well.
Oh, I didn't notice that actually. That's a lot. 15k on this bad boy.
Yeah. So they're
that
also
going into your hand is really clutch too.
Yeah. So you get a lot out of checking a trigger. So since I said that I take the attack, I'll also reveal the top card of my deck for a trigger, and we're going to check. It's nothing, so if it doesn't have a trigger icon here, for damage, it just goes to the damage zone face up like this. So now I'm on 1 damage out of my 6.
So now it would be a waste if I didn't swing because of this trigger that I got, plus 10k to my units,
so now
right?
your last... It's actually good that you attack with your Vanguard instead of your rear guard there, because now your rear guard's actually even stronger.
That makes a lot more sense. Do I get greed? See, this is where the reason why I lose in a lot of card games. I kind of greed. I kind of get too aggressive. But I feel like, in theory, if I have this much of a power boost and you're only at 2 cards, my idea is, all right, well, he has to give up something very valuable in order to guard this, or he's going to get more chip damage. So I think I want to force that aggression a little bit by swinging at your Vanguard again.
And I think that's very much correct. So here I'd have to basically drop a 15k to block it, because, you'll probably notice, but in Vanguard, the shield decrements are in 5k. And generally speaking, it's either 5k or 15k, or otherwise you have effects that give you like more shield. So you'll notice that when we open your packs later down the line. So 18k to 8, I think, as you said, I'm only at 2 cards in hand, so it's a little bit rough for me here. So I think I will take this. I'm going to take my second damage and check. It's nothing, so not a trigger. It's going to just go into the damage zone. So now I'm at 2 damage.
The tease, I'm salivating. I'm already getting damage in against you. It feels...
He's pushing in the corner.
That's all I got. That's all I got for my turn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So after you're done with your attacks, the turn just naturally progresses to the end phase, and then it just goes back to the other player. So
all right,
I'm going to take my turn. So stand and draw my 1 card. I'm going to naturally gain 3 energy at the start of every turn. So now I'm going to be on 3. And so then I can choose to discard a card for the ride deck. So It's a little bit tough here because I don't exactly have the best cards to discard. They're pretty big shield numbers. So I'm going to choose to discard the trigger that I just drew and right into the grade 2 Sweet Helm. So grade 2s, they start to get a bit stronger. So grade 2s have 10k power. Grade 1s basically always have 8k power. And the other unique thing is, as I mentioned before, grade 1s have just under their grade 1 icon, they have what's called the boost icon, which is what allows them to lend their power to the thing in front.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah,
actually,
right here, right?
only grade 1s and 0s can do that. So if you put a grade 2 or a grade 3 in your back row, it will not actually be able to boost the thing in front. So grade 2s and 3s are basically exclusively used for attacking, and grade 1s and 2s, grade 2s and 3s are used for attacking, and grade 1s are usually used for supporting from the back.
Interesting. Okay.
That's just like a small little thing. They try to make each of the grades a little unique. So with that in mind, I don't really want to call these two cards because they're both kind of like, you know, they're low in power, high in defense, so I don't really want to commit anything like that. So I'm gonna just go straight into battle. Luckily, you kept my rear guards on the board, and I defended one of them earlier as well. So that means I can actually try to fight against your board a little bit and try to pierce in some damage too. So I'm gonna choose to swing with my Vanguard immediately. So this is gonna be a 10,000 to your 8,000 Vanguard. And now you get to choose if you want to block that or not, or if you want to take the damage.
So in my mind, because it's another Vanguard incoming, I want to kind of like prevent you from getting any RNG off of your triggers, but at the same time, I also want to like keep the cards in my hand right now.
Right.
I kind of want to build those hand resources. I don't know how far that's gonna let me, you know, it's how much of an advantage it's gonna give me later on. But for now, for the sake of learning, I will no guard.
Okay, and I think that's correct. It's like early on, it's like you can go up to 6 damage. The chance of dying from 0s is virtually impossible, so you're pretty safe to take early damage in this game.
Okay.
All right, so since you declared no guard, I'm gonna check the top card of my deck for a trigger. It's gonna be no trigger, so this just goes to my hand, but it's a rear guard I can use next turn for attacking with, so that's also fine. So now you reveal the top card of your deck for a damage trigger.
Oh,
how is he so good? So
well,
what you got there is a critical trigger. So critical triggers on defense don't actually do anything. So they basically say that when checked, they add an additional critical to one of your attacks. And critical basically means damage. You'll probably notice on a Vanguard card, just below the name in the very middle, there is the critical. So it says critical 1 there at the very bottom.
If I could get my camera to focus. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically every single card in Vanguard has critical 1 by default, so that means it does 1 damage. But when you check one of these, that means it will do 2. But that only works on offense. So on defense, you don't get the extra damage or anything because, you know, you're not attacking. But you still get to add plus 10,000 to one of your units. So who do you want to give it to? Yep.
Huh. Well, that's pretty cool.
So if you give it to your Vanguard, that means my rear guards are only 8k. So then my only option is to swing at your rears. So if you want to protect your rears, you might want to give it to a rear. But then if you don't want to worry about your Vanguard getting damaged anymore this turn, then you can just give it to your Vanguard.
So I'm not sweating too much about the damage at this point. I think I'll keep at least one of my units alive to support later on in the future. I will give it to this one right here. This one. Right. I'm going to go ahead and buff this one up for this turn.
Sounds good. In that case, I can still swing with these rear guards to wherever I want. So I'm going to first choose to attack with this Lizana. She's going to attack into your rear guard that is still at 8k power. So we'll at least try to whittle down your resources a little bit.
Okay. I'm not willing to save this one, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I'll let you down. I know in the anime they probably wouldn't do that, but you know, sometimes things gotta go.
They gotta go. All right, and then this one's gonna be 8k, so it doesn't reach your other rear guard, so this is gonna go into your Vanguard. So again, you can choose if you want to take this or if you want to block it and prevent the damage. But do keep in mind that now my Vanguard is at 10k, so your 8k rear guard on its own will not be able to reach my Vanguard's power anymore. So you might need to retreat it to the back to put like something stronger to make a stronger column. Or you can keep it in the front to bully my rear guards in reverse.
Yes, I think overall my plan would be to keep this unit just to support for the upcoming level 2.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and I don't want to kind of like guard just yet, so I'm willing to take the damage.
All right, give me a second damage and check it. Oh,
Again?
You got another one.
I swear
So
I'm not cheating. I promise.
you're good. You're good. So in a Vanguard deck, there's 16 triggers. It's always 16 no matter what. That's like the deck building rules. So what you just
Very
checked
cool.
is a draw trigger. So much like any trigger, it gives plus 10k to one of your units. So you can give it wherever you want. But a draw trigger, when checked, allows you to draw an additional card, whether you check it offensively or defensively.
That's godlike. Cool.
Yep.
It's all going according to plan, right?
Yep, exactly. So bro is cooking with the resources. So now I basically don't have any more attacks. So even if you got the trigger, you know, it's like you can apply the power, the plus 10k to somewhere, but trigger power is reset at the end of a turn. So that's going to be the end of my turn, and it's back to you.
Very cool. So before I even get into it, I'm gonna pretty much resend my Vanguard and my rear guard. Draw a card. And that as well, I get to increase my energy counter by 3 more.
Yep.
Correct?
So you're gonna be on
cool.
6.
Currently at 6. You can't see it right now. I swear it's at 6.
Oh, good.
So this is very interesting, right? If I were to sort it out in my hand, this is what I usually do to kind of keep it in line with how I want to like progress in the game. This is pretty critical. I feel like having these as defenders is going to be huge for late game. That's something I don't want to discard just yet. I do have 2 copies of something like this, which I know for sure since I built my right deck. This is going to be coming out no matter what. So I'm a little bit of a dilemma, right?
Yeah. There is one thing you might want to keep in mind is that the card that is the same as the grade 3 in your right deck, normally every turn you progress by riding from the right deck, but after you reach grade 3, you can ride the same copy as your Vanguard over it on turn 4 and onwards to activate what is called Persona Ride, which gives a plus 10k buff to your front row permanently for that turn and draws you an additional card. So it's like a big tempo swing. So I'd say you want to keep at least 1 extra copy of your grade 3, your main grade 3 in your hand, because that's going to be a very, very big tempo swing for later.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I get rid of 1 but save 1 and I still have another option to like Persona Ride later, I'll still have that kind of advantage for later swings.
Yeah.
In your opinion, I really need to know, would you sacrifice this level 3 for your upgrade?
Did you ditch one at the? I think you ditched one last turn too, right?
I did ditch one last turn.
So there's only 4 cards of any card in a deck in Vanguard, right? So when you think about it, you ditch 1, you have 1 in the right deck, and you have the other 2 in your hand actually. Which is a bit unfortunate because his effect is that he searches for a copy from your deck, so you get to just find it for yourself. But it's all good. So I think you can technically ditch it, but then keep in mind that means you only be able to Persona Ride once this game. Whereas if you don't, that means if the game goes long, you'll be able to do it on turn 5 as well. So I think, yeah, I think you've been quite strong on the offensive, so it might not be the end of the world to discard one of your triggers here.
Okay, I was thinking the same thing. Both look really, really cool too. Let's go ahead, and I don't see any extra effects on this, so I'm going to go ahead and discard, what is it? Direful Doll Bethany. That was very easy to read. I'm very happy. All right. We're going to go ahead and upgrade classes to level 2 with the Steam Trimmer. Nebuchador? What? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like his art.
It's like a Nebula Luchador.
Yeah, he's just out here with a big ass scythe. With a little steampunk scythe, dude.
And I draw for that, right?
So you draw at the start of the turn. Did you already draw for turn?
I did draw for turn.
Okay, then you're good.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I drew for turn. Am I crazy? No.
Yeah, I think you did. I think that was the critical girl.
Okay. So now with that in mind, I'm allowed to play level 2s. I did happen to see this part in the anime. This one has a different symbol on the top left.
Yeah, so grade 2s have what's called intercept. So they are the only grade that is able to actually defend from the battlefield. So it's kind of like blocker in other card games, I suppose.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of similar. It's not like a complete block of the attack, but he can contribute his 5k shield to that attack.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep maintaining my aggressive position. I'm going to go ahead and I can move this down to the back row, correct?
Yeah.
And then do that. Right?
Yes.
Okay,
good.
cool.
So now you have an 18k column. So when you think about that, right? When you think about the fact that in Vanguard, a lot of the shields are like either 5 or 15, 18 on a 10 is a very annoying number because I'd have to put either 2 5Ks down or I'm putting down a 15, which is like, you know, technically I'm like putting too much, right? 15 can block a 23, but in that sense, it's a very good number to have.
So playing it the way I would play it if this were like a competitive setting or just, you know, at a local level, I would think to myself, I want to test my luck with 10k to 10k just to see if you would guard it. Right?
I think that's considering also you saw the power front triggers. You've checked one of those that immediately buffs your next attack too.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and swing with 10k with my Vanguard.
All right. So here I can choose to defend myself or not. And the interesting thing in Vanguard is that because of the way that triggers work. So for example, if let's say I'm gonna, just for an example, I'm gonna drop this one. So this is now 15 to your 10. So what happens here is that normally this blocks the attack. If this was a rear guard, this attack would be done, right? You don't have any way to increase it. But you now have a chance that if you check a trigger, all triggers give plus 10k to a unit of your choosing. So you could actually give that plus 10k to your Vanguard to pierce this block. So what a lot of people do in Vanguard is, for example, even though 5k is enough to block this, but I'm scared of you checking a trigger and putting the plus 10k to the Vanguard, so I can put a 15k down instead to make it so that it's safe. So we call that like 1 to pass, 2 to pass as like the terminology we use in the game. But I'm gonna gamble and give you the pleasure of gambling as well to try to see.
All right, cool.
We're going to Vegas, baby.
This is why we're friends, I feel like. This is the cherry on top. I'm going to go ahead and drive check. You ready?
Yep. Here we go.
It's a big whiff.
Oh, all right. So you don't check it. So my gamble to, you know, it was a pretty big risk if you check the trigger, and if it was like a critical, I'd go to 4 damage. I'd be like almost dead. So it was a bit of a risk, but it worked out.
Okay. And then that drive check goes to my hand.
Yep.
Little extra resources. In fact, since it's still my turn, technically, I could put it down, right?
So you can only call cards during your main phase. So once you enter battle, you can no longer call cards down.
Okay, that would be broken if it was just like, oh, swing. I just drew this. Oh, I get to play it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Some decks can do that. Some decks have effects that do that. Yeah. There's all. Once you get into it, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
That's sick. I see. We gotta talk later in the after this because I gotta build that kind of deck. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. Getting excited. I'm gonna go ahead and swing. So this is scary, right? I don't want your units to progress. I guess, or at least like give you those extras to it. I guess, or any like powers or any extra add-ons to your attack damage. So I'm gonna swing at one of your rear guards.
Yep. So if you want to contribute the power from behind, you also have to rest the one behind. So that way it signifies that it's like using its power to boost. So 18k to my 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to drop a 15k to protect someone that isn't really going to be able to attack anymore. So I'm going to let that through and she's going to die.
Okay. I do believe that concludes my turn. I'm big chillin'.
All right. So then I'm going to go to mine, stand and draw. And you're checking all your triggers. I'm drawing all my triggers. So it's like the nice thing of drawing the triggers is that, you know, it's big defense. So you get to protect yourself, which is pretty nice. But I think I will just discard this one to ride into my grade 3, which is the Seraph style. So the grade 3s in these starter decks do have effects. So that's where things get pretty exciting. So they all have very similar ones as well. So they use energy as a mechanic. Speaking of which, I'm going to go to 6. And they also use what is this little blue symbol that you probably saw on the grade 3 as well, called Counterblast. So Counterblast is a resource, which is you take so let's say it says Counterblast 1. I think you can also see on your grade 3 as well. It should say the same thing. So it says Counterblast 1. Counterblast means you take a card in your damage that is face up and turn it face down. So in Vanguard, your damage is actually your most precious resource because you use damage to pay for costs. So that way,
I see.
It's like you always want to take a bit of damage because otherwise you can't really, like, you know, you're just playing vanillas. And so you always want to take a little bit of damage to be able to maneuver, and it's up to you to balance, you know, how close you want to get to dying to be able to use as many effects as possible. So it's like, it's a very push and pull kind of game, which I really like.
It's a good thing I kept myself at 2, like to kind of like follow your
yeah.
All right, okay.
Very good.
Cool.
So what ZerefCell says is I pay counterboss 1, and then I can search my deck for up to 1 card with the same name as him, reveal him, and add him to my hand. So I'm going to search for another copy and add it to my hand. And after I do that, I shuffle my deck, and he gets plus 10,000 for this turn. So he actually gets pretty buff.
That's broken.
Yeah, so he's going to be 23. I actually have to make this a little easier. I actually have these little power counter dice.
Something crazy. Okay.
So with that, I can now choose to, I can call this, for example, to attack with, or I could keep it in hand. And as I mentioned, you know, for next turn, I can Persona Ride with it. So I think I wanted to be able to do that. So I'm going to try to keep it in hand here. So a lot of my other cards in hand are basically defenders that I don't really want to put down. So I think I'm going to just go into battle and show you what ZerefCell's other effect can do. So ZerefCell's other effect is when he attacks, he has to attack a Vanguard to activate this effect. But when he attacks, I can pay Energy Blast 4. So you'll basically in Vanguard, anything that says charge means you gain that resource. Anything that says blast means you blast that resource away. So
I see.
I'm going to blast 4 of my energy here. And when I do that, I can choose a grade 3 or less normal unit from my drop, call it to rear, and it gets plus 10,000 until end of turn. So I can choose any card.
That's crazy.
So it's like I discarded this at the very beginning of the game, right? It was a grade 3 that was useless at the time. Now this boy's back. So he's going to be helping me out as an attacker.
Excuse me? Excuse, was that planned?
Maybe.
my man was thinking like 5 steps ahead the whole time. Oh boy.
That's one of the fun parts of Vanguard as well.
What a beast.
So this guy is also gonna get plus 10k. So we get to grade 3 and things get pretty exciting.
Oh, not for you. I was kidding. I'm totally kidding.
This ZerefCell now is 23k to your 10. Are you gonna choose to block that, or do you want to take it?
You know, 23 is a pretty good number. Oh man, but that other guy is how they're both 23. What is?
So this guy's 23, but since he doesn't have drives, if you drop a 15, you're 25. You're safe against him.
Yeah. Okay. But your Vanguard though, you're kind of scary, man. It's kind of freaking me out. What about like 2? And you were talking about the damage being a resource as well. I kind of want to gamble that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea. But
so one thing I will tell you about is that you notice that the grade 2s have a different icon under them called intercept. Grade 3s have another unique mechanic, so they can't boost or intercept, but they have what is called twin drive. And that means that when a grade 3 Vanguard attacks, you don't check just 1 card for your drive check, you check 2.
And if you were to draw in your drive check, if you pulled a critical trigger, that's an extra
damage.
Oh my god. I could die. I could lose right now is what you're telling me.
No, but even if I checked 2, you'd only go to 5, so you'd still be alive.
You got a big bomber on the side, man. He's got hella damage to him.
He's just chilling.
Okay, interesting. I'm gonna do this for the first time.
Okay.
I'm gonna guard for 15.
So that puts you to 25.
Yes, it does.
So that means that normally if I don't check any triggers, that is gonna be a guard. But if within these 2 checks I see even 1 trigger, I can technically commit the power to Vanguard to pierce your shield. So that means, so like, you know, in One Piece, for example, when you put down a counter, it's like, okay, that blocked it. But in Vanguard, if you're putting it down against the Vanguard, there is a small chance it could get pierced.
I didn't realize that until you put it really put it in perspective with like the tone. Also, so my options are obviously take the gamble with the 15, or I could put one of these bad boys down as well. Right? I think I've seen this in the anime.
Yeah, so this is what's called a perfect guard. So this is basically like the ultimate defense. Nothing will pierce this. It is basically completely safe no matter how much I sack and then check, you know, 2 triggers in a row. So you can also do that. The only thing is that a perfect guard comes at the cost of discarding 1.
Interesting. Oh, okay.
So you lose a card for doing it. So it technically costs you 2 cards, but it's like, you know, it's like life insurance. It's like you pay an extra cost, but at least you know that, you know, if you get into an accident, at least you're still alive.
Okay, so I did notice there was a theme of them using it at the very, very last second. So with all that put in perspective, I'm not just trying to copy the anime, right? I can understand why this might not be the best idea. So actually with your Vanguard, I think if I'm trying to play or trying to think optimally, I think I'll have to take it. I'll have to take it.
And I think that's a good choice because at the end of the day, this is also 23, but you can like confidently block it with your 1 trigger. Whereas if you just drop it the 15 here, it's a bit of a risk, right? The thing in Vanguard is that also, much like in One Piece, you can drop multiple cards to guard at once, but it costs a lot of cards in hand, so you're losing a lot of resources at that same time too. So you always want to try to like block the attacks that are a bit easier to block here and there. So since it said no guard, I'm gonna check the 2 triggers. So the first check is a nothing. So that's one of them down. Goes to hand. Second check.
Talk to me nice, man. Talk to me nice.
Damn, if you dropped the 15, that would have actually blocked it. But no triggers. So you're gonna just take 1 damage.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Oh.
Oh, nice. So you got the draw trigger. Bro is blessed by the beginner's luck.
That's actually crazy. So I get the 10k boost.
Where do you want to put it?
I would most likely put it towards my Vanguard.
Yes, exactly. Because then suddenly you're 20. Blocking this is just a 5k now.
Right. And then I get to draw as well.
Yes.
That's cool. That's
very good stuff. All right, so I actually kept the grade 1 in the front because I was like, oh, if I check a trigger, I can give her 10k and she'll be an 18 that can swing into something. But unfortunately, I didn't. So she's going to be just a sitting duck here in the front. So I could have theoretically also like pushed her to the back and then like called this here instead. So this would have been like a 31k column instead. But, you know, we gamble. We try to live life in the fun way. So this is going to be a 23. So it's only 5k to block for your Vanguard. So I'm thinking if it's even worth it to attack your Vanguard at this point, right? Because it's so easy for you to guard it. So I think I'll actually put this 23 to your 10k rear guard. So now if you want to protect him, it's going to cost you a 15k shield. But if not, then he's just going to retire.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to retire him because I think I'd want to save the shields for later on. Sure, I'll be like lacking in units, but
I mean, you know, looking at your hand, you got enough ways to replace them. So I think you're chilling. I'm thinking
as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and let that attack through.
No, it's just the grade 2 is gonna. The grade 1 in the back is gonna stay there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
what?
So those ones, the units in the back cannot be attacked into. They are just basically there the whole time. But of course, there are some decks that can retire. You know, they have effects that remove your opponent's units. So then I could technically touch it in that sense.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Very good to know.
Cool. So with that, the power is going to reset and it's going to be your turn.
Oh man. Now I get to like match up power levels perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, I should probably do this in order. Draw first. Let's do that. Then we're going to go to 9. And this is going to be the cool stuff. All right. Maybe I should discard this level 1 unit to ride again.
Yep. Here we go. Mr. Also largest.
Also largest, dude.
He's just a big old dude.
What a beast. He looks really sick. I think the artwork is really like starting to grow on me. I was watching one of the other videos with Igni and his draws too. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
I do that. It's got a pretty large amount of text, and I'm one of those card gamers that don't know how to read as well.
Oh yeah, but don't worry. That's everyone.
Okay, I'm glad I'm one with the people. So there is an activated ability for sure. You can do it once per turn, and there's also the cost of blasting 1.
Yeah,
right.
So the counter blast. It's nice the playmat actually explains it to you at the bottom too.
Okay, I do see that. And then the automatic ability is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, blast 4. Choose a grade 3 or less card from your soul. Call it. Okay, so that's only gonna really apply if I've already like Persona Ride, right?
So the soul is I didn't actually mention it, but the soul is the cards that are under your Vanguard. So
I see.
when also largest attacks, you can energy blast 4, and so it says a grade 3 or lower. So you can technically, you know, you have your grade 2 from your ride deck in your soul. You can actually call it out when it attacks as well. So it can actually do potentially 4 attacks this turn if you wanted to, because you could attack with the rear guard, and then after that, you know, attack with the Vanguard, and then call out another one from your soul. Or you could preserve it and just like, you know, you can call less cards from hand so you have more blockers, and that way also largest is providing you an attacker from your soul, much like how my guy is providing me attackers from my drop.
How interesting. That's cool. Okay. And the cost of that would be what exactly? It would be blast 4.
Yeah, so that one's the energy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the basically like the blue blast one is, so it says the C, so that's counter, so that's your damage. Then the green one is energy, so it's, you know, I guess it kind of fits the like, you know, sustainable image of energy being green.
I see, and it does explain it. Yeah, at the bottom it does talks about.
Oh yeah.
I see. Well, okay, so considering I know that I can't really use the activated ability because, well, we have 4. We have 1 in trash. We have 1 in the drop zone, 2 in hand, and 1 we're staring at in the face. So
but one thing is that so the text does say it's like you search for up to 1 copy of the same name. But thing is, even if you whiff the search, you still get the plus 10,000, which I think is pretty good.
I'm whiffing, baby. Okay, well then we're doing that. I'm hella whiffing. I'm super down to whiff.
The one time that whiffing is not punishable.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm expecting to get whiff punished the whole time. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so turn cards in your damage zone from face up to face down, and it only costs 1 to do
Yes.
that. Say less. Okay. Does it have to be in a specific order?
You can choose whichever one.
Oh, all right, cool. Well, we'll do this. Bang. And then we're gonna search. We're gonna go through it anyway, just to be sure that I'm not cheating or anything. There's like a 5th copy. If there is a 5th copy, I'm actually gonna laugh.
Suddenly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right, got your nose.
That's cool. So I get 10k until the end of the turn. So I'm at 23, which is pretty sizable since we haven't really utilized the energy counter yet. I think that would be a good time to use it. Perhaps.
So that one you can only do when you attack. So you might want to call some allies before that if you want to make any other attacks aside from that. And also don't forget your booster in the back also stands at the start of turn, so you can also boost this turn.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can think about if you want to call anything else. So since also largest gives you 1 attack from the soul, you can potentially like call 1 to put in front of your grade 1, and then you can have the other one provided. And the thing is, because also largest calls you any card that is grade 3 or lower, right? So that means you can call a grade 0 or 1 or a 2 or a 3. So if you look at your hand and you see like, okay, I have a bunch of grade 2s, but I would like to maybe have a booster to make sure my attacks can actually hit the Vanguard, right? Because the Vanguard is now 13. So if you called a 10, you would actually only be able to swing into her. So you could hypothetically also, for example, like call the 2 grade 2s and then use also largest effect to just provide a back row to like call a grade 1 behind one of your grade 2 rear guards as well.
Interesting. Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah. So I would have 2 really, or not really buffed, but I'd have 2 buffed up front rows because of that. Huh?
Yep. So
okay.
It's like still pretty big. And the thing is that when also largest calls the card, it gives it plus 10,000 too.
Huh?
Yeah.
So I don't even need. Okay. Well, to be safe, I should have it like buffed up. Okay. So what's that sequencing? So let me see. If I were to play this unit here first.
Yeah.
I can't just play it back row, right?
Yeah, so grade 2s cannot boost. Grade 2s can only
intercept.
Be in the, they can only intercept and then attack.
Okay. So
and intercepting can only be done from the front row.
If I wanted to call, can I bring this one here using the ability towards the back and then summon?
So what you can do is you can call out the grade 2s, because as you remember, once you go into battle phase, you can't call any more cards anymore. And also largest effect only activates when he attacks. So you have to be in the battle phase to activate his effect.
Darn it. Okay. Okay. So here's what we're going to do for now.
He's cooking. The gears are turning.
because he's gonna give it the attack boost anyway. You said plus 10k, so let's go ahead and put this down first.
Mm-hmm.
Right, to increase my attacking potential. I'm at 18k. So now in my attack phase, let's see. I'm at 23. I should have those markers, right? I do have it. It's in the box.
Hey. True, yeah, you got the little coins.
Heck yeah, that's cool. All right. Dang, this is hype. It's actually pretty hype. Okay. So I do have 10k on him right now. That's pretty juicy. It is pretty juicy. I'm gonna go ahead and swing.
Okay.
And this also has, what is it? What was it called? Let me see this ability. It was twin drive. Dude, twin drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now when you declare the attack, you can pay the energy blast 4 to call one.
Okay. So we're going from 9 to 5. That sounds familiar. All right.
Yeah, we're just clocking in.
We're clocking in, baby. And then this gets called.
Yep. And he's gonna get plus 10,000 from what's the largest effect too.
Right. So then I could do one of these bad boys. Boop. All right. Cool. So now I'm at 23. I figure I should be swinging at your Vanguard because of my twin drive. So I declare my swing.
Yep.
And then is it time to drive check, or do I have to wait
until I decide if I want to block or not?
That's
and I'm gonna say no guard for that one because it's pretty huge. I'd have to commit a lot of cards to defend myself.
Okay. What a beast. Drive check.
All right. Nothing. Second check.
Oh no!
All right. You finally feel my pain. 2 blanks.
No.
All right. So it's gonna be just 1 damage. So I'm gonna check the top card. Ooh, that's actually a perfect guard. So that's you can only perfect guard from hand. So that's like one of my 4 perfect guards gone.
Is the limit 4? Is that what that is?
Yeah, every card has a limit of 4 to be played.
Oh,
and perfect guards especially because they're so strong they have a strict rule of only having 4 of them in a deck.
Okay, I see. Okay, very very cool. Now I have 18 or 20k. But your units are looking kind of saucy.
Yeah, she's just an 8, so she's not doing too much. But I can retreat her next turn if I want to.
Yeah, and I want to kind of like limit that perhaps. I could be swinging straight for your guy here, but
yeah, I got this little dude too.
Yeah, I kind of want to swing at that dude as well.
Right.
Is that what, 13 you said?
Yeah, he's 13.
So even if you had a 5, you'd have to put a.
I have to drop 2 5s, so I'd have to overguard a little bit with a 15. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. I do want to get rid of that strong unit.
Yeah.
20k to that 13.
Like part of me wants to keep him, but I feel like even if I block him, there's nothing stopping you from just attacking into him again with the other rear guard.
That's correct, yeah.
I think I'm gonna let him get retired. So he's gonna die.
He'll carry on with the pension. It's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and swing. I'm gonna swing at your other unit because I kind of want to force that situation again.
Oh, okay.
So that you're not. I mean, like maybe you'll guard it. Maybe you'll use some resources.
Yeah, maybe. So if you want to boost, you have to also rest the booster behind it too.
Thank you.
So
we're boosting.
18. 18's on an 8. Let's drop a 15. I only have 1 15 in hand, so I feel like I want to use that for other turns in the future. So I'm gonna say no guard. You've wiped out my board.
Okay. Whew, this is nerve-wracking. I think I'm pretty sure this is the end of my turn.
Yep. All right. So I'm gonna go take mine. So draw for turn. And so here, as mentioned before, since I no longer have cards in the ride deck, I cannot pitch to ride anymore. But what I can do is, if I have the same copy as my Vanguard, I can ride it from hand on top of the Seraph Cell, and that's going to activate the Persona Ride, which is just below the twin drive of the Vanguard there. So Persona Ride gives a permanent plus 10k for the turn for all of my front row unit.
Huh? All of them?
So just my front row. My front row, all 3 get plus 10k. So it's really good because even though these circles are empty, anything that goes on here will get the plus 10k.
Awesome.
And also on top of Persona Riding, when you get the plus 10k, you also get to draw an extra card, which is really nice.
It's very nice. That's very, very clutch.
And I'm going to charge 3 energy. So I'm going to go to 5 here. And with that, I now want to build up a bit of a board. So gonna call out my Resurgent Dragon, so he's just a 10k. And then I think I also want to use Seraph Cell's effect to make him even stronger. So we're gonna pay Counterblast 1, so turn the card face down here. And I think I might still have one more copy of Seraph Cell in the deck. So I'm also compressing, which means oh no, I think have I seen all of them already? I might have already seen all of my Seraph Cells. Yeah, it looks like I have actually drawn all of them. So we're gonna just shuffle up. I whiff the search.
Crazy power boost for whiffing. Yeah.
Yep, I whiff, I get plus 10k. Feels great.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. Alright, then I'm gonna call Medical Shot Angel. So she's just a grade 1, but thanks to Persona Ride, she's 18k. So she's, even though she's normally a weenie, it was definitely the right call for you to take out my rears because, you know, suddenly even the weenies are getting pretty strong.
I see. That would have been like 23 or no, actually what was it, 18? It was like 26 perhaps?
Yeah, something along those lines.
My gosh.
So I'm gonna call Sia. She's a grade 1, so she's gonna just boost my Resurgent Dragon here. And with that, I think I'm ready to go into battle phase here. So I am also gonna use Seraph Cell's effect, but because he allows me to call a card from drop when he attacks, that technically means I can also call it on top of an occupied rearguard circle. So in Vanguard, what's nice is that if you ever want to replace a card, so for example, if I, you know, this was clogging my board and I want it, I can just call over it and then the original one just goes to the drop. So that's one of the nice things that you can just like replace cards you no longer want, and that applies for the battle phase too. Going into the battle phase here, I'm going to swing with Medical Shot Angel first. So this is going to be an 18,000 attack. So I think, considering that you also, you know, you have Persona Ride for next turn, and your stuff is going to get pretty huge, I think I want to swing into the grade 2 rearguard that doesn't have a boost behind it. So that's 18 to 10.
18 to this. I don't think I want to save that. Maybe a little like kind of antsy toward that, but
I think as long as you have other attackers to replace him with next turn, I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, at least for the next turn, if I survive.
It should be fine.
I don't know if you got anything else, but we're gonna go ahead and retire him as well.
All right. So here, I'll next attack with Seraph Cell and pay his Energy Blast 4. So I go from 5 to 1, and I'm able to now call a card from my drop. So this guy's back, Mr. Bright Glass Dragon. He's back once again, and Seraph Cell gives him an extra 10k. So the Persona Ride and the plus 10k from the effect combined is gonna be 33.
Oh, and he gets to restand like that just because it's a brand new unit.
Exactly. So I get a 4th attack.
Nuts.
So that's gonna be, and you can do that too technically next turn.
Yeah.
With your Ursa Largest too. So
okay.
This is gonna be 33k to your Vanguard. The numbers are getting big.
33. Let's see. I'm thinking. You could do that twice over as well, right?
Yeah. So I can if I get 2 triggers, and I can theoretically the most I could go if I commit everything to Vanguard would be 53.
What if you pull 2 criticals? Like, what am I? I'm dead.
You might just be.
I could lose here, but there's no way. There's no way you're pulling 2 criticals in a row, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen any yet, but you know, when you think about it, if you drop like, 25k shield, you go to 38, but that's again, like I check 1 trigger and I'm basically nullifying 3 of your cards that you put down, which is quite a lot. So I think when you start to think like, oh my god, I'm losing this many resources just to block 1 attack, that's when you start to think, okay, it might be worth the gamble to take it.
It's either that or pull out the perfect guard too, right? Because I think I've only drawn like 1 thus far. Looking at my drop zone.
Yeah.
I could recheck my damage zone anytime, right?
Yeah, you can always check it.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure I've only done that once.
Yeah, I think you've only seen 1 so far.
I still have a lot of cards in my deck. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna drop it.
All right. So as a cost, you do have to discard 1 other card, but I guess you can just drop 1 of your grade 2s.
Yeah. Go ahead and drop.
Yep. So that basically means that no matter how big this attack gets, it's gonna be blocked. So that is a perfect guard. So now that you've committed your blockers, I'm gonna choose a Twin Drive. So first check. Oh, it's nothing. Still blank. Second check. Also blank. Damn.
That's crazy.
That means, man, if I get a next turn, I'm gonna be checking crits left and right, dude. It's gonna be, they're all just sitting waiting.
It's just at the bottom. It's perfect timing.
Yeah.
I just got baited. I got baited into using my reversal, my big reversal.
Yeah, actually just baited.
I got hella baited. This game's sick. It's actually kind of sick. That's cool. I really enjoyed that. That was cool.
Yeah, this is like the kind of like the back and forth, like honestly, I always say that the like Vanguard's battle mechanics are the reason why I've been playing this game for 13 years. Because it's 13. Like there's always something exciting happening.
That's cool.
Alright, so this is I'm gonna swing with this regard first. So this is gonna be 20 plus the 10 for Persona Ride, so 20 and the 8k boost. So 28. Pretty big. I think I want to actually take this to your Vanguard.
Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty hefty amount too. If I decide
yeah, if you want to block that. So if you drop 15, you're also 28, so that still goes through. So you have to commit another 5k.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and no guard.
All right, it's gonna be 1 damage.
And then okay.
Oh, no triggers. All right, and then finally, this is gonna be, he's got plus 20k now. He's 33, so 33. That would be 20k to 20k to block would only take you to 33 as well, so that would still go through. So you have to commit 25.
I was do 25. That's nuts. I have to take it. No guard.
25. All right, let's see it. What does he find? Oh, the crit. Okay. But it's like you still get the plus 10k, but I'm out of attacks, so it's like the 10k bonus kind of gets sort of wasted. Oh, it goes face up in your damage zone.
Oh, sorry about that. Excuse me. I don't even know why I decided to put it face down. Maybe I didn't want to see the critical. Maybe I wanted to pretend
like I do not see it. I do not see it.
Out of sight, out of mind, I guess.
All right, and with that, that's the end of my turn. It's back to you.
Okay, so this is going to be a pretty critical round. This is almost do or die. But you know what? I've seen some crazy stuff like this in the show. All right, so
that's right.
We got our energy counter boost. I should probably do that after I draw, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to draw, and then we'll do it. Energy counter now I'm at 8, right? Boom.
Yep, all good. Okay. Don't forget you can also Persona Ride.
That's right. Yes. The moment I actually have been waiting for.
Yes. So you ride
Persona Ride.
So you get plus 10k to your front row, and you get to draw an additional card here.
Okay. So boom. Yes, I get to use my markers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Empty spot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then
and you draw one more card too.
That feels great.
Ooh, okay.
This gives me an additional 10k, right?
Yes.
To this unit?
Yeah, specifically to the Vanguard.
So with this action, I still have to search and shuffle, right?
Yeah, you can technically just kind of like shuffle it. It's for the sake of this, I trust you. You're good.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Man's like shuffling, so I'm gonna let him shuffle.
I'm shuffling the crits on top.
Uh-oh. He's a little too good at Vanguard.
My sleight of hand is kicking in now.
I'd say you want to probably go for the 4 attacks, because one of the cool things about Persona Ride is that 10k buff on that circle is always there. So, you know, even if you don't, like, the moment you call a unit there, it's going to get it. So you can, like, let's say call a grade 2 on it now, right? Attack with it.
Yes.
And then when you use your Vanguard's effect to call one from the soul, it'll also get that plus 10k from the Persona Ride. So you're kind of like double dipping on the buff with 2 units.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I could still summon, right?
Yep.
So I could summon Iceful Iser.
Mm-hmm. He's that guy.
Okay, cool. So he's at 28, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
pretty huge.
So let's go ahead and get into the battle phase. Here's my way of thinking. I kind of want to try to go for game here, because I'm a greedy man.
Yeah, so, I think it's valid. I got like 5 cards in hand. You got some big attacks.
And you're at...
I'm at 3. So you need to deal 3 more damage to me to win.
I could be swinging for 28 here. You would need a 15. You need to drop 2 or a perfect guard. So let's go ahead and threaten that first.
All right.
By swinging at your Vanguard with one of my rear guards.
All right. 28 is indeed a lot, because I have to basically drop 2 cards here. But I think I will take you up on that offer, because this is still guardable. I'm a bit worried about your next attacks getting even bigger. So I'm going to choose to drop a 15 and a 5 here. So I go to 33, so that is a successful block. So I do lose 2 cards for that.
Okay.
So I'm down to 3.
Now that I know you've committed,
mm-hmm.
It's a matter of, even if I were to swing with my Vanguard, I think I kind of want to be reactionary to this. Maybe I want to swing with my Vanguard first to see how the drive check goes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'm still going to get an extra swinger regardless.
Yep.
Right. So that's really, really cool. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and swing with this and then activate its ability by taking away how many?
It's 4 energy. So you'll go from 8 to 4 now.
And then I get a level 3 or lower.
Yeah. So you can actually call the grade 3 out. And it gets the plus 10k from the effect too. So it's actually going to be 33.
That's nuts. This guy goes to the drop zone, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does this boost still apply?
Yes. No, that boost will not anymore. So that only
Okay.
applies for the battle that
Very
it
cool.
boosted in.
Very, very good. Okay. So right now, this fella is at 23.
Yeah, 33 because you also use the effect to give the plus 10k, right?
Oh, that's right. That's cool.
Yeah. So
That's hype. Okay, so at 33, I'll be swinging.
yeah, so I could technically perfect guard here as well, but I'm gonna actually take the chance. I'll let you taste Nirvana and see if you can check some crits.
That's crazy. Okay, so this is a drive check, and since it's a twin drive, I get 2, right? So
Exactly. First check.
one,
Nothing.
a big whiff. Okay.
Oh, goes to hand. Goes to hand.
Oh, it goes to hand. Excuse me.
Yep.
Okay.
Second check.
Oh, we're
Ooh,
in there.
draw. Okay. That's pretty good. So you get to draw an extra card and give plus 10k to one of your units.
Ooh.
So you can think about it in terms of how many cards, you know, this is where the One Piece knowledge comes in, right? 28 is a 2-card guard. A 33 in this instance is a 3-card guard, right? So you already have a 33k column, but your other one, you can make 38, for example. And that becomes like, it's technically a 2-card guard if I have 2 15s, but you know, there's a limited number of 15k guards in a deck, so the chance of me having 2 might be a bit lower. It's kind of like 1k and 2k counters in One Piece, I guess.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And considering, see, if I weren't looking at your hand, right, I always have to keep in mind that even if I have potential lethal, that you could just drop a perfect guard. But that's like
exactly.
a 1 of 3 chance. And to be honest with you, I think that's something I want to happen.
Yeah.
Perhaps. And then you have, then you have 3 units to swing with. That sucks. Okay. Maybe not.
I think if you're pushing lethal, then that might be the play.
If I'm pushing lethal, that might be the play. So I get to draw after this, right? So I get to
exactly.
draw more. Okay. Okay, cool. A lot of defensive capabilities here.
Yep.
Although these bad boys are pumping up to like 1 million. Oh man, don't talk to me about 1 million yet. That's actually a real number. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot that's a real number. Holy. Okay. So this is tough. I think what I have to do now is to try to focus your attacks into like just one person, or like just with one person, and that's probably your Vanguard. But knowing how your deck has been running, you're still able to pump out units no matter what I do, even if I get rid of them. So I feel like
so I gotta pay 4 energy to get one out of the drop.
Dang, so much to consider. All right, so since I didn't get to choose my unit yet to pump up
for the 10k.
trigger, let's go ahead and apply that to an additional 10k to this fella.
Okay. And then after you apply the trigger power, then I take the damage from your Vanguard attack. So I'm going to check the damage trigger on my side. Ooh, another perfect guard. So that's already 2 of my perfect guards in damage.
Okay. So that feels pretty good if I didn't see it. If I didn't
if you didn't know my hand, you could be like, okay, I'm just going to go for game.
Yeah. And then you know what? I actually want to do that. I want to I want to see how you would react to it. So I'm going to go ahead and swing. This is 38 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is 38.
I'm going to go ahead and swing at your Vanguard.
Yeah, it's pretty damn huge. So I'm going to take that one. No trigger. I'm at 5.
Well, okay. So this is where I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yep.
I see nothing but green. I should go.
Yep.
Okay. We'll see. Let's see if I can put you in burnout. Maybe I put myself into burnout. Big Street Fighter 6 reference. Let's go ahead and swing for 33 towards your Vanguard.
Yep. So you're going to force out the one perfect card I have in hand. So now it comes down to the cost, right? So I have 2 cards in hand and you can see them, so I'll disclose it. But one of them is a grade 1. So if I had guarded if I somehow didn't have this in hand and I was forced to if this was my only 2 remaining cards in hand and I was forced to discard my Persona Ride, then my numbers would be super small next turn, right? But luckily, I still have something else to discard, so I get to hang on with 1 card in hand, which is my Persona Ride, so I can still make a pretty powerful next turn.
That's actually the most anime thing ever. That's actually super cool.
Yeah, yeah. This game
right.
is very anime.
That's super cool. All right, so yeah, that's the end of my turn, really. Oh,
Yeah.
I had to rest this as well because I gave it the power boost. Go
And
ahead.
the power resets, and it'll be back to my turn. So you got very close. Let me see. What do we
That's how it
draw
goes
into
in
for
the
turn
anime,
here?
man.
Whoa! So this is just for context. What I drew into I just drew into it, so there's no trigger effect happening. But the green trigger is a heal trigger, which activates. It heals you 1 damage as long as you have the same amount of damage as your opponent or more than them. So what this means is that normally you lose at 6, right? But if, let's say, I had taken your last attack and this went to damage, it still checks. So it sees that I'm at 6, you're at 5, I heal 1 and I live on 5.
That's crazy. It's man.
Like I said, this game is very anime.
That's cool.
All right, so even if you had gone for face and I didn't have the perfect guard, I would have actually held on in exchange for not checking any triggers all game. I get a second lease at life.
That's funny.
All right, so
I wouldn't even be mad at that if somebody were to live off of that. Like I wouldn't even be like upset. To be honest.
trust me,
It's
the more
like,
you play
all
the
right,
game, the more bad you get.
Okay.
I had lethal, how dare you? All right, so I had my last copy of Zeref Cell, so I'm gonna ride it. So I get Persona Ride. I do go to 4 energy, so I barely still get to use Zeref Cell's effect. And I'll draw 1 from the Persona Ride and get the plus 10k to the front row once again. So my boys are strong once more. In my hand, all I have are triggers, just in case you do defend this turn. I do want to keep them in hand to be able to protect the next one. So I think we're gonna just not waste any time and just go into battle here. So I'm gonna go in. So what's interesting here is that I actually no longer have a grade 3 in my drop because you kept this guy, you didn't attack into him. So now whatever my Zeref Cell can call is actually gonna be weaker than normal. So
Yes.
I have to keep that in mind. So I think what I'm gonna do is when I attack, so you can choose when you boost if you want to boost like whenever you want, right? So I can choose to not boost with her right now, and then instead boost the thing that I call out from Zeref Cell's effect to make like a really, really huge attack. So I'm gonna choose to just keep her standing here. So this guy, Mr. Resurgent Dragon, is gonna swing into your Vanguard with 20k power. So that's gonna be just 10k shield to block.
This is not where I would want to use like an intercept to kind of like cheapen the kind of make the cost a little bit cheaper.
You could, honestly, because you know, I'm technically going to be throwing 4 attacks your way, and they're going to be pretty big. So especially the thing that this guy calls out is going to be like what I'm going to call. So you can actually ask to check my drop whenever you want. So I have a grade 2, so that means I'll call that. It'll be 10 plus the 10 from Persona, right? 20 plus his 10, 30. It'll be 38. So I think you want to block the small attacks as much as possible this turn.
So I'm gonna go ahead and intercept with my level 2. This is the first time I'm doing this. It's really cool. So
That's
that
18.
is 18, and then I'd have to do
Another 5
another
will do it.
5. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that too.
Yes, there you go. So that's block. So it's 23 against 20. So you're
I'm
good.
sorry. Let's do this level. Do this 0 cost 1.
Oh, yeah,
zero
yeah, true.
good one. Okay. So
All
yeah,
right.
10k.
So that blocks it. I'm going to attack with Zeref Cell and use his effect here to pay the 4 energy. So now down to 0. What that means is that if I don't win this turn, every turn you only gain 3 energy, and his energy cost is 4. So that means next turn I actually don't get to use his effect. I'll have to wait a turn.
Totally
Here,
planned out.
I'm going to use his effect to call a grade 2 over my Resurgent Dragon, and this will gain another 10k. So my Zeref Cell is just going to be 23 to your Vanguard, and my remaining attacks are 23 and 38. So the 38 one is very huge. It's going to require 30k shield.
This could kill me.
It could.
Damn, if I take this Vanguard hit now, it's so much.
Yeah, now you see why the perfect guards are used so late in the game, right?
Oh man. You got me in a corner, bro. This is actually kind of rough. This is actually super rough. Card game gods, help me. All right, this is so difficult, Chris. How do you do this for a living, man? This is nuts. This is so difficult. If I had hair, I'd pull it. Okay, let's think about this. 23. I know I'm lagging right now. I know I'm lagging behind. 23 is a really, really scary number. We should probably gamble. Probably gamble.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say we should probably gamble.
I'm gonna block the
The Vanguard swing?
But you have damn.
Yeah, I got the twin drive.
I have to like heavy duty that bad boy. Okay, I think this is it. I gotta accept fate. I'm gonna have to just no guard. I'm gonna have to no guard. Do
All
I?
right. You sure?
What would you do in my position?
In your position, so I would be thinking, okay, this is a 23. So if I check a heal, that becomes just a 5k to guard. And this is a 38. So if I check a heal, that's 20k. So I kind of like allocate the cards in my hand and be like, okay, so if I do check a heal, I can actually block these two and then survive. So that's like my only out, and that's how it is, right? Because I'm like, okay, if I drop a 15 and they pierce it, and then I check a heal, it's like, okay, then I'm on 23, but then now I have only like, what, 4 or 5Ks? So then it's like, even if you check a heal while gambling and you can't block these, then it's kind of like a waste of like relying on that chance. So it's like, I think I would actually do exactly as you're doing too, and I would take the swing as well.
That's exactly what somebody who's trying to get me to lose would say. I'm kidding. Yeah, let's do it. Let's take the gamble.
I'll do the first check. Check. It's nothing. All right, so that's at least it's not a critical. Second check. Front trigger. So this actually gives an additional 10k to my units. So to the front row units, that is. So now you get to see if you get a second chance at life. Can you find a heal off the top?
No. Okay, hold on. All right, ready?
Here we go.
Oh, no shot!
How does he do it?
No way, dude. Actually, no way. That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
Damn.
Bro.
We out here living. Living.
That's crazy. That's so nuts. I just won regionals. This goes to the drop zone then, I assume.
So this still goes to your damage, but you choose one other card in your damage and you can heal it. So this what's also nice is that you can heal your face down one. So you basically get more counterblast to use as well.
That's so crazy that just happened. What? It's
now
so short-lived because look at you have such a buff unit. It's so short-lived.
The thing is, you still get the plus 10k to your Vanguard now. So I'm like, okay,
True.
So let's say like if we were playing with closed hand, I'd be like, damn it. So you healed, you're 23. This thing is swinging for like 33. So that is now just a 15k to block, and this is swinging for like, you know, also it's like suddenly it's easier for you to block. So I'm like, okay, damn, I have 4 cards in hand. So does that mean I should be like now going after your rears to like prevent you from killing me next turn?
Yeah.
So suddenly like it completely turns the tide, where it's like I have to think, okay, damn, what is the better play here? Like, how should I progress with this, right? So especially because this is a 33 and you're a 23, it's suddenly so much easier for you to guard. So I have to actually think, like, do I want to go for your rear instead? This 33 is going to go to your rear. I don't want that big boy, because I got 4 cards in hand. I'm on 5 too, so I'm not trying to die next turn either. And over here, you can still Persona Ride next turn.
Still Persona Ride next turn and bring back another attacker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to lose, or I'm not going to, like...
no, it's only the front row. The back one stays.
Sorry about that. I got to get used to that. I don't think I'm going to sweat too hard about losing him, I think.
All right. And this one's huge. So he is 10k, 20k from the front, and then I gave him these 10k from Persona and 10k from this. So he's 48 to your Vanguard. So this, you're 23. So you need to drop 30,000 shield to block this attack.
30,000 shield. I could definitely do that.
Oh.
So I'm going to drop a 15, 5, 10,
3 5s. You got it. Sweet. All right.
Ooh.
My man survives. It's like it's like if I'm kind of taking this from my perspective. Like if we were playing with closed hands, I'd be like actually a little worried about you being able to swing. So it's gonna wrap back to your turn. You got that heal, keeping you in the game.
That's so nuts. I thought this video was gonna end earlier. To be honest with you. That was actually kind of crazy. All right, so I drew.
Yep. Card. And now we can Persona Ride immediately right after. Also charge your energy.
Charge my energy to 8. So I'm gonna show it off here. Boom, you can see it. And then here's the play. Oh, and what I just drew is actually kind of nuts. That's actually kind of nuts.
All right.
So we're gonna go ahead and Persona Ride. And then I draw a card off of that, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Now, my line of thinking is I don't think I'm gonna block that hard ever again.
Yeah, this is like do or die, I think, for both of us.
This is why I have to put the 2 drop there.
Mm-hmm.
I think with this, it would be like 16 if I decide to swing with it, but then I kind of want to really buff up the other unit. So
you can also do what I did, and you could call the grade 1 to the front, and it still gets the plus 10k even if you don't boost it. So you can attack with an 18 as well, and then just call the grade 3 from your soul.
Okay, great. That almost slipped my mind. I forgot these little counters. Okay, actually, I got to use this effect, right? I'm gonna whiff.
Oh, true. Yeah. I actually forgot to do that last turn myself. Damn.
Let's go. Thank you for being nice. Is what that is.
No, I deadass forgot. I was like, well, that's the last one of them. I guess I don't use it. I was like, oh wait.
Okay, so let's go ahead and swing at your Vanguard for 28.
28. All right. So you did see that I checked a front last turn, so I don't want to die yet. So I'm gonna drop the 15. That's 28, and intercept with a 5. So it's gonna be 33 to block that.
All right. So you got rid of that. Let's see. So now that that's happened, I think we could chip away a little bit more. I feel like I can egg you on to getting more of your shields out. So let's go to swing with 18. 18. Man, so I already know I can't block the Vanguard attack, so I might as well just block the ones that I can block. So I'm gonna actually overguard a little bit, drop a 15. So this is 28 on your 18. So definitely a good choice, because even if you boosted, it would have been 26, which then 15 still blocks because I go to 28. So not boosting there was the correct choice. That in mind, I do get an extra swing if I activate its ability by swinging itself, and he's got 33 to his name. So let's go ahead and use his ability. We'll declare a swing, use his ability, taking away 4 energy, which allows me to pull from the soul.
Big boy.
He really is the largest.
Yeah, the also largest.
Which one gets an additional 10? I get my Vanguard gets an additional 10, right?
Yeah, but also the thing it calls also gets an additional 10 from his effect.
That's nuts.
Yeah, actually, so your other column is swinging for like 41. It's pretty impressive.
So I'm swinging here for 33.
Yep. And I already know, I mean, I can only go to 33, so it still pierces. So it's gonna be a no guard. I gotta try and be like you.
Okay. Dude, we'll see. This drive check is gonna be crazy. Ready?
Yep. Here we go. Oh, it gets up front too. Sheesh.
That's nuts.
All right, so your front row gets another plus 10k buff.
The entire front row, and I run out of markers.
It's all good. We'll remember it.
Okay, and then another one.
Here we go.
Swing miss.
Perfect.
But it's a perfect guard.
Sheesh. All right, well,
that's crazy.
Comes down to whether I can see this heal or not. 6 damage. This is it. Final check. Is not a heal. It is a draw. So I could theoretically draw an extra card, but as I lose on 6 damage, it's gonna be it. You got it.
Let's go. Okay. Whew, I was waiting for that weird million card. I was waiting for that trigger to pop up, and I was like, dude, you are maximum anime. But
so to make the learning experience better, they actually don't put those in the starter decks.
Oh, okay. I didn't get to really look at all of it just yet. This is my first time. Yeah. That's crazy. Right. Sweet, dude, this game is stressful, man. But in a fun way. That's actually super cool.
That's Vanguard. Holy. All right. So Vicious, what did you think? How was your first Vanguard experience?
That was the most anime thing I've ever done in my life. In terms of the way the battle went, I think that was one of the more riveting battles I've had in a card game, because there's so much to consider, right? I mean, like, my experience in like a multitude of different card games kind of like sort of helped me out, but there's also like some pretty significant details that are like very unique to that experience. And I think with that in mind, it's going to be even more fun to like play in the future. I'm actually kind of curious. See, now I want to see like what other avenues I can like really take this game. Like, I want to see like how many locals there are in my area that I could like test out. So
yeah, right.
Dude, this was sick. This was actually so much fun. I'm hooked.
I'm glad.
Damn you guys.
I think it's like when you get to experience the thrill of triggers and everything, it really kind of like you get a little invested. It's like, oh my god, what?
Yeah. You don't get that as much in like most card games. Like at the most, it's like one piece, but like there's only certain archetypes that could really kind of get that going as often. In this game, it's like, dude, anything can happen. I think it's really neat.
Yeah, and it's like it's pretty interesting because it kind of sells you on the, you know, that idea that anybody, like even a beginner, can technically beat, you know, a pro if you get just like insanely lucky. Of course, it's like as you play with like constructed decks, there's, you know, like a lot more defensive options. That's like one of the bigger things that, you know, the starter decks are all just vanilla without effects, but you have a lot more defensive options. You get a lot more, you know, like card draw, so you get a lot more resources to defend yourself with. So then the triggers, you know, when you play with like full-on competitive decks, like triggers are, you know, for better or worse, become a bit less impactful, but at the same time, it's like you still have a very unique experience, I think, in the sense that it kind of gives you that hope that it's like, okay, as long as, you know, I sequence my things right and I play with the statistics, you know, and considering how many, you know, you can always kind of, some people actually just like calculate. It's like, okay, I still have like 10 triggers left in deck. My deck is like 40 cards. Let me calculate what are my chances of like this twin drive revealing one of them, and like structure their turns around that as well. So I'm glad you liked it. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, now it's got me thinking about the booster boxes I still have to open, right? I want to see like how many different abilities I can like utilize now that I've seen what like a vanilla version of a battle looks like. I want to kind of fully understand the different types of abilities. That gets me like really excited. It's like, okay,
yeah,
there's so many ways to kind of like hedge. Yes. I want to like try to like hedge our bets here in regards to like the casino of drive checks or the casino of like trigger checks, right? So that's gonna be cool. And I want to play a couple of people that you've been tutoring as well. Like I did see you working with Igni a little bit ago. So that I'm gonna challenge him right now. Listen, Igni, if you're watching this video, bruh, check me out. All right, I got my dub today. You may have pulled some really fancy cards in your boxes, but I still got 5 boxes to go through. So I'm coming for you, man.
Yep,
that's gonna be soon.
It's gonna be like the master and student. It'll be me and Kai sitting behind you and Igni, like, go fight. It's gonna be exciting. So what we're gonna do with Vicious in the next few videos for you guys is we actually got, so Bushiroad sent us a total of 6 boxes, but I was like, you know what? I want my student to be buff. I gave him 5. So I want Vicious to get the best possible pulls. And you got 2 starter decks. You got the green one, the Stoicheia one. And it's funny because the guys at Bushiroad were like, yeah, we sent him that one because they kept taking pictures with the bald guy from the anime, and that's the that's the nation that he uses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're like, we're gonna give Vicious the green one. And then you also have the Dark States, the blue one. So we're gonna try and see what we can do to upgrade your decks there. And then after that, we're actually gonna run it. I also got a box myself and see how I can upgrade this starter deck with that. And then after that, we're gonna run it between ourselves as well. So you got a bunch of videos from me and Vicious coming up as well. So look forward to that. And of course, Vicious, let people know where they can find you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, keep it very unified, very simple. Vicious FGC on all social media platforms, on Twitch, YouTube, as well as Twitter. Those are my main 3. If you want to check me out on some of my daily adventures, I usually post on Instagram as well. You might have caught DifferentFight in some of our adventures over at Evo Japan. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much all of my social media. You can find me all throughout there.
All right, sweet. So we're going to see you back again here for our big box opening. Try to see what we can find there. And so for those of you that enjoyed this video, make sure you tune in next time as well. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. But otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.